Coming up on Currently, Beth Milligan and Art Bukowski are here, and we are chatting about the local oil and gas industry, upcoming road projects, and a retail and restaurant roundup. That's all ahead on Currently. Welcome to Currently, where we discuss some of the top local stories directly from the journalists who are covering them. I'm your host, Christal Frost, and this podcast was recorded on Thursday, March 12th. We are officially 2 weeks away from the Tigers' opening game against the Padres. That's happening on March 26th. Woo-woo! Support for Currently comes from West Shore Bank. When you choose West Shore Bank, you are not just choosing a bank, you are choosing a partner that is committed to the well-being of our community. Visit them today on 8th Street in Traverse City or at westshorebank.com. Support also comes from the Fresh Coast Film Festival, Traverse City. Don't miss the Friday Night's Gala featuring Listers, a glimpse into extreme bird watching at the City Opera House. Check out the full lineup and get tickets at tc.freshcoastfilm.com. And support comes from Old Town Playhouse, where community comes together in downtown Traverse City. Welcome to Beth Milligan, head writer for Traverse City Ticker, and Art Bukowski. One of the publications you write for is the Traverse City Business News.
Yes, you know, I always tell people, Christal, that the company Eyes Only Media, we own the Northern Express, the Business News, and both tickers. And since nobody knows that, I always like to tell people.
And, you know, it's not just business in the business news.
Oh, it sure isn't. Thank you for that lead-in. That was low slowing over the plate, speaking of baseball. But yes, I always like to also tell people you don't need to be a business person to read the business news. We have all kinds of fun, interesting stories in there, some of which are only tangentially business related. So.
You know, I would say Art Bukowski, Traverse City Business News, getting all up in your business.
Correct.
Right?
It's on his business card. Yeah.
Yep. That's what we have right there.
That's a freebie for you. Yep. That's a freebie. Well, I'm excited to have you back. We took a hiatus last week. We took a little spring break vacation, and, well, some of us did. Yeah. and I missed you.
I missed you too. And now we're right back into the heart of winter this weekend with the
Oh,
forecast
gosh,
between tomorrow or Friday and Sunday. Looks like we're going to have a lot of snow coming.
You know, and Art, I think the last time we had you on as a guest, it was right before a big snowstorm too.
So maybe you're a harbinger of
I'm ready to go out skiing again. So,
yes, you are a skier.
Yes.
Okay.
So I want to pull Nora out of school next week, maybe to take her to Boyne Mountain if we can pull that off.
Can you just do that?
Oh, you can.
Really?
Don't tell my wife, but yes, you can.
yeah, or anyone who's teaching Nora.
Right, exactly.
No, just, for that kind of stuff too, it's the crowds are better on the weekdays. It's cheaper on the weekdays. So, there's some book learning that'll have to be sacrificed for the slopes.
Yeah, different kind of learning.
Yeah.
Different kind of learning. That's right. Yes.
You know, I know that we have a big winter storm, a couple of big winter storms that are coming up. But it is almost the fifth season, which is construction season. That is orange barrel season in northern Michigan.
Goodness gracious.
And you have, I don't know if this is like a guide or a warning.
Yeah.
The story that you wrote, Beth, back on March 10th. Tell us more about the 2026 Road Construction Guide.
Yeah. Yep. We had this story earlier this week. Kind of we try to do these sometimes a couple times a year, depending on what projects are coming up. But usually in the spring around March, I try to do a roundup of what's coming up in the next few months. This one, especially, we just had in the last couple of years, the Grandview Parkway construction project, which was a big one. The big one this year is going to be US 31.
Oh yeah.
Boy.
So almost 8 miles of highway near Interlaken is being rebuilt by the state this year. So that is going to majorly affect traffic on the south and west side of town. So just get ready for that to start coming. Buckle up.
Yeah.
Get prepared to learn some detour routes or to sit in traffic for a bit. Have a little patience. Give yourself extra time if you're going anywhere near Gron or Interlaken this summer. There is going to be an open house on March 24th. So let folks know about that out in Interlaken at Golden Town Fellowship Hall from 4 to 6 o'clock. If folks, especially if you live or have a business out in that area, you might want to go to that open house. They'll have, renderings. They're going to be talking about the plans. But we do have an overview in the ticker story. This project, we've been advertising is coming for a couple of years, so it's been on the radar. People are going to start seeing preparation work, including pretty soon here, March 23rd, weather allowing.
I got to say the orange barrels are already there.
The orange barrels are there. People had seen them working out there because they've been getting the detour routes ready over the last year to handle the traffic that's going to be coming off the highway into some of the side streets. But yeah, we'll start seeing more work soon. And then the road construction itself is scheduled to begin on April 15th. That could start sooner if the weather allows.
Okay.
So just know that date is a little bit in flux, but that's the target is mid-April. And then that project's going to be going all the way through November. So just like the Parkway, we're going to have it all year long. I would recommend folks check out the story. We do have a breakdown of the 3 phases of the project. So from an April to June, a June to July, and July to November, there are different closures during different phases. Sometimes, for example, if you're going to Interlaken for a concert this summer, the way that you're going to have to get there, whether Maddie Parkway is available or not, if you can get to 31 from Silver Lake, there are going to be temporary signals up. So, for example, at Secor and West Silver Lake Road, there's a temporary signal there. There's some other intersections. So, again, if you're anywhere out that way, just be prepared for the fact that there are a lot of workarounds. They're building a big roundabout at Interlaken Corners. So a lot of work happening this summer out that way.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge roundabout. Very excited about that. And I would just say to, head over to the Golden Fellowship Hall. That's the old library, people. And you can, learn more on March 24th.
Yeah. And also in the story this week, we have links to not only the full schedule, so people kind of know what roads are closed when, but also there are pretty good detour maps that MDOT created for each phase. And we link to those in the story. So if you're out there, I would just download those maps and have those kind of on your phone or ready so you know which ways you can go this summer.
Yeah. Any other projects that we should talk about?
Yeah, there's some other ones. We did also mention also on 31. This got a lot of comments. I have been tracking this for a while. We were last year in the ticker. We broke the story that a new Meijer store is going in at Chumps Corners. Meijer 3, but right next to Menards. We've been covering for a while what is going to be happening, like how people are going to get in and out of that store. We've been waiting for MDOT to approve the permits. They just did this past week. So we shared that news that there is going to be a new traffic signal pretty close to the one that exists at Chumps Corners on 31 to get into that new Meijer store. There are also new driveways further west down on the Meijer property that'll be like a right in, right out. So if you're coming from Interlaken to Chumps Corner, you'll be able to turn into that Meijer and not turn out of it, but the lefts there are going to be limited. But just know that there is a second signal being planned out in that area. Meijer has broken ground on that store. So work is happening, and that'll be another impact out that way on 31 that you'll see happen.
Yeah, it's happening, people.
It's happening. And then we just mentioned some other ones that are going to be coming up this year. So I think this summer, just keep an eye out. We'll publish more detailed timelines when they're available. Some of these projects still have to go out to bid, and that will set the schedule. But Cass Road is going to be a big one between South Airport Road and the bridge over the Boardman River. Hammond Road from Town Line to 4 Mile and Cedar Run Road from Cedar Crest Drive to Cedar Valley Road are all getting hot mix asphalt. So there's big redoing the road. Those will be big projects that'll impact traffic in those corridors. And our beloved Frankie Road, that we've talked about on the show before, from 31 to Silver Lake Road is finally going to get an upgrade.
Frankie's getting out of the corner.
That girl is tired and she needs a little facelift.
She definitely needs some.
And that one has been actually surprisingly, it's not a long stretch of road, as folks know, behind the Meijer there, but it is a complicated stretch. There's a Montessori school. They have semi-traffic going into Meijer. So they have been taking some time to design it. There's new sidewalks they want to try to make room for.
There's the Panera Bread.
There's a classic Panera Bread. And then, of course, there's a strip of residences along that road as well. So they've been taking some time to get the design right. Yeah. The road commission did say that they will post a rendering of what that road will look like on their website probably by the end of this month. But that's another project we'll see this year.
Now, Art and I are both West Siders, and I don't know about you, but I use Frankie all the time.
Yes.
I'm just like, nope, we're going to take Frankie, because that, my friend, is a little bit of a detour to get away from all the Meijer traffic.
Did you know that little village back there is called Piggyville? And did you further know there used to be a slaughterhouse there, which gave Piggyville its name?
I've never heard that fact in my entire life until this moment.
Real?
This is very true. There is somewhere in the vicinity of the Great Wolf Lodge.
Okay.
Don Olson told me this. There was a slaughterhouse or something there, and Piggyville was somehow connected to that. And this is true. And those places used to flood a lot. I think it's been resolved.
Okay. I thought that was where the Buffalo Farms were. Great Wolf Lodge and then the Grand Traverse Mall, right?
Possibly, but Don told me specifically about
Piggyville.
Piggyville.
Gotta love it.
Piggyville. In fact, I was referencing it one time, and they all started talking about Piggyville, and so. a fine establishment, a little slice of Traverse City history.
I always learn something new when you're on the show.
Who knows if it's true or not, though, is the question.
That's great. Well, thank you for the... I guess it's a warning and a guide because this is happening whether we like it or not.
It's true.
There's nothing any of us can
There's
do.
nothing consensual about the road work that's happening. No. It is what it is.
This is it.
Just what it is. And your attitude is going to determine whether or not you get through it. Let's just put it that way.
It's true.
Before we move on to talking about the Northern Michigan oil and gas landscape, we're going to talk about a couple of different restaurant and retail roundups. This is my favorite thing you do, Beth.
It's mine too,
I mean, you do really hard news too, but I'm just like, yes, tell me more about restaurants.
It's fun to write about. It's fun to read. And these are usually where we have a lot of exclusives for the ticker, which is always nice to bring people kind of breaking news. And certainly the one we had today, when the show airs on Friday, it will have been yesterday's story, generated a lot of conversation.
Yes.
Which is that we know that there are a lot of people who are fans of Mama Lou's out there. They're coming up on their 10-year anniversary in May on Front Street, and they are getting ready to change the restaurant.
Okay.
So it's the same folks, Adrian Brunette and John Larson. They're partners there. They also, of course, are partners in projects including the Flying Noodle and the Burrow in Traverse City. I talked to Adrian for this story. She said, essentially, Mama Lou's is doing great. Business is busy. You can see that every time you walk by. It's always busy in there. But they have had the same team running that restaurant for a decade now.
Wow, that's amazing.
A lot of the same folks since the very beginning. And a lot of those people are, younger people who have learned they want to stay in the restaurant business. They're some of them are planning at some point to open their own restaurants. And so Adrian and John felt like they wanted to switch it up. They wanted a new challenge. They wanted to launch a new restaurant concept. It's still going to be them, same owners and team, but they're going to be saying goodbye to Mama Lou's on Cinco de Mayo, very fittingly. Will be their last day, which I'm sure will be a crazy day for them. They'll close for a week after Cinco de Mayo, and then when they reopen a week or so later, they are planning to be reopening as a new restaurant called Happy Cat. And Happy Cat is a fast casual Asian restaurant. So when I talked to Adrienne, she sort of described it as, it's very similar to what Flying Noodle did for Italian, which is it's a playful, it's approachable. She described it as kind of an elevated Panda Express.
Okay.
So having dishes like drunken noodles, beef and broccoli, spring rolls, pot stickers, pork belly bao buns, cucumber salad, things like that. They're going to do their own twist on a fortune cookie. They plan to have a very sake forward beverage program. Going to be redoing the interior to more of an Asian decor theme.
Love it.
It's kind of an Asian American fusion. She said, I want it to be, easy to carry out.
Yeah.
Just pop in. You can get an inexpensive meal. Which is the same approach that, Flying Noodle and Mama Lou's has. So, and it's a change. It allowed the staff there to grow, to learn to cook new food, to see what it's like to open essentially a new restaurant.
Yeah.
They're going to be open daily, just like Mama Lou's is for lunch and dinner. And when we posted this story today, there was quite a lot of feedback, which I think Adrienne had anticipated when I talked to her. They know there's a lot of love for Mama Lou's out there.
Sure, yeah.
People love the margs, the street corn, the tacos. And they knew there would be some sadness about them going away, especially because they're going away on a high note when they're successful, not, because they're struggling.
They're pulling a Seinfeld.
Exactly. But, she is hopeful that people will give it a chance, that, because it is the same team, they hope that it'll be food that people enjoy and kind of still a playful, approachable atmosphere.
When in the story you wrote that when Mama Lou's first opened, they were the only downtown taco focused restaurant. So 10 years ago, there was just one place to get tacos downtown. That's not the case anymore.
Yeah. And so obviously, even on Front Street itself, where they are, there's tacos and tequila now. There's Barrio. You go a little bit further down front, there's Local Boys. You've got just outside of town, and like at the mall properties, both the mall properties have Mexican restaurants. There are some great taquerias and things around town.
Out.
And so I can personally never be tacoed out.
No, because I love that.
I love tacos, and I think Mama Lou's still has a strong following even with all the competition. But I think for them, they prefer to be proactive and more out in front, trying something new than sort of waiting for people to get tired of it.
I love that they're giving, because first of all, if you have any team that sticks around in a restaurant for 10 years, that tells you something about the owners, right? That is amazing. And then secondly, they're giving their team another opportunity. So they're probably listening to them and going, how do we help you grow? And I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm excited about the food. So yay.
So we'll see that. So you got a couple months still to get your tacos and street corn in before that happens. And then we had a couple other restaurant updates I'll mention. Sure. Jeff Labdell, who's a really well-known restaurateur in town. He has, Omelet Shop, West End Tavern, Flapjack Shack, Apache, Boone's, lots of restaurants in town. He has purchased Slabtown Burgers.
Wow.
I saw that.
Yeah. So Jeff and Tony, who launched that in 2009, they were ready to start their next chapter, and they said that they had specifically sought out Jeff to buy it. They wanted it to remain family owned and local, and they said that they have confidence that Jeff and his team are going to keep kind of the Slabtown tradition going there. So that's one. And then we also just mentioned a few that we've covered in the ticker before but are now open. So folks who have been waiting for them to open. Coyote Joe's, that new restaurant we talked about recently on the show out in M72 in Williamsburg, that is now officially open. I saw they're going to be doing some stuff for St. Patrick's Day, some specials out there. Old Mission Tavern, which is out my way, which I've been waiting for a few more dining options maybe to come online out on the peninsula. March 18th is going to be their opening date.
Oh, wow.
So they're doing some soft, stuff with friends and family this weekend. And then they are taking reservations right now. They've updated some of the decor in the restaurant. They're refreshing the menu. So
I believe it's going to be all tacos, Christal.
It's all tacos. 100% tacos. Not true. But I have seen the menu and it looks great. And then I had so many people finally ask me about what is happening with Dunkin' and Baskin Robbins. Because originally when we reported and broke that story that they were coming to Front Street, they were supposed to be open back in November. That obviously hasn't happened. I did talk to Sam, one of the representatives from Empire Hospitality Group. He said there is construction happening at the property.
Okay.
They will need to wait until the snow is gone to finish the outside work and signage, and then they're hoping to be open in May. So there's an update on that because people keep asking me.
Ice cream, yes. Yes, I will take it. All right. Also, March 18th, we should do, after currently next week, we should just go out there.
Yeah, let's do it. Check it out.
Okay. We're coming for you. All right. Before we come back with news from Art. Yes, that's what's happening next. A word for our lead supporter, West Shore Bank. And Traverse City friends, I can't really believe that spring break is almost here. As I'm sure you know, between travel activities and new gear and all those little extras, that's money, right? Those are costs that add up fast. But let me tell you about a new feature from West Shore Bank. It's called the Savings Center because it has made saving for all those trips and all those gear and everything else that you need a total game changer. It's right in your WSB Touch app. You can set up a dedicated savings goal for your next vacation, say. Schedule automatic transfers, even round up your everyday purchases. So every time you buy a taco, part of that's going to go right into your savings, right? You're saving without even thinking about it. It's perfect for families and students or really anyone looking to get ahead of those getaway expenses. Plus, you're working with a local bank. They truly understand our community, not just a giant call center. West Shore Bank has branches right here in northern Michigan, and their team is always ready to help. So for whatever trip you're dreaming about, get your plan in place. Download the WSB Touch app and check out the Saving Center today. West Shore Bank, saving made simple. Products and services may require enrollment. Other terms, conditions, and fees may apply. And welcome back to Currently. We are going to shift gears here. Gears, engines, oil, gas.
Yes.
Yes. Art, in the Traverse City Business News this month, you wrote a story about Northern Michigan oil and gas industry, which was kind of a booming thing in the 90s. What's happening with it?
Well, it's funny. So many stories for the business news just start kind of with an inkling. What's going on out there. You see a pump jack here or there, there's activity.
That's what those are called, a pump jack?
Yeah, you see those little, or nodding donkeys.
That's what I always called them, was nodding donkeys.
Pump jacks. Yeah, you'll see a lot of those around here. And the long and short of it is what's going on is not much anymore. Northern Michigan has gone through several, in the state at large, but Northern Michigan in particular has gone through several different, call it big booms. They use the term play in the business. And the last real big one occurred in the 90s. It was a natural gas play that there was a lot of activity around, but there just simply has not been a lot since then. And there's, various economic factors that go into this. When oil prices are higher, it's more economical to use more resource-intensive things to get it out. But long and short, there's just not a lot of new activity going on. And if you saw the numbers in the story, they were drilling thousands and thousands of holes. And last year there were 24 holes drilled in the whole state. So now a lot of the activity is focused on what they call tertiary extraction. So it's different advanced extraction techniques of the oil and gas that has been found, and there's not a lot of exploration going on because there's just simply better and more economical options elsewhere. But there was a time in the 90s when Shell was here and Amoco was here, and they had some of the most, it was some of the most important and economical and profitable activity in the entire world was in northern Michigan. So it's interesting. And while it's depressed, many things could change that. High oil prices could make certain extraction techniques more economical. A new way to get at resources that are down there could make it more economical. Discovery of even yet more resources can make it economical. So the history of the state has been marked by ups and downs. We're in kind of a down right now. That's not to say that there might not be an up in the future. You know,
I was reading this story while I've been hanging out with my stepdad and taking care of him quite a bit the last week or so, and we started watching the Beverly Hillbillies. Do you remember this show?
Yeah.
And he was just out,
Black
shooting
gold,
for
Texas tea.
some food, and along came a bubbling crude. That is not how we did it in the 90s, though. It wasn't just some guy with a gun.
No. They came here, and I'm trying to remember. I can't believe I can't remember, but I'm trying to remember that name of that play in the 90s. I think that was the Antrim Shale. But basically, again, that was a natural gas thing, and there was just a ton of activity here. And the point of it is that there's still a lot of folks involved in the industry, too, especially in the outlying areas, Mansalona, Kalkaska, Antrim County, stuff like that. There's a lot of wells that are still in the ground. There's a lot of wells that are still producing. And then there's a lot of really other interesting things going on. There's a guy named Bob Manns over at his company, Core Energy, and what they do, and I almost want to be careful saying it because it's very different from the fracking, which is very, very controversial.
Yes.
But basically, essentially, they use advanced CO2. They inject CO2 into these wells, and they use it to repressurize the wells and get oil out. But the other thing that's interesting about that is then when it's done, they sequester that CO2. And what they're doing is taking CO2 that would otherwise be injected into the air from various facilities, capturing that, using it to repressurize these wells, getting oil out of it, and then capturing that carbon down there. And they're getting to the point now where they're starting to do exciting new projects where they're not even extracting any oil. They're just going to start sequestering carbon that would otherwise be, pumped up into the atmosphere. As he likes to say, he was capturing carbon before it was cool. So there are other things that are kind of going on in the industry that are tangentially related to the industry. But what I discovered is that there's essentially not a lot of new exploration or activity going on. And in the 90s, certain periods, 50s, 60s, and then 70s through the 90s, tremendous activity.
Yeah, tons of it. But they're waiting for the next big thing, or who knows what might happen.
I mean, again, there was an example used downstate in the kind of the Napoleon Jackson area. There's a company up here that actually pioneered different ways of getting at resources down there, and there was kind of a second little mini boom. So you need to figure out a different way to get at the resources that are there or discover new resources, new oil and gas. And again, economics drives a ton of this. When there's low oil prices, there's just not a lot of activity going on. As it gets higher and higher,
who knows?
Who knows? But it's there's a lot of history here.
I've got about an acre of land. I wonder if I should start digging.
Texas tea.
There you go.
I mean, I think what's crazy is, it was interesting to read this story because I think, for the average person, just you don't think of northern Michigan as like a big oil or gas industry.
No, you
and
don't.
you see the equipment sometimes out there, but you just don't think about it. But even things that people, sometimes people have complicated feelings about oil and gas and fossil fuels, but even, just pointing to the complexity of it, like our major park system, like the Brown Bridge Quiet Area, gets a significant amount of funding from oil and gas royalties from that property. Those go into a dedicated fund, and that has provided a substantial, millions and millions of dollars for improvements and more parkland acquisition out there. So, it's a complicated
So the
equation.
oil and gas industry actually funding natural resources.
Well, so that the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund, and this is a huge thing. I'm glad that Beth brought that up, and I almost regret not getting in the story. Basically, there was a fight over oil and gas exploration in the Pigeon River State game area over on the east side of the state, northeast corner of the state. The result of that ended up being a compromise that you can drill, but we're going to set up a trust fund for all state drilling and exploration on oil and gas on state-owned properties. That money is going to go into this giant trust fund and be used explicitly for acquisition and development of lands for public parkland. And there has been more than $1 billion spent that has been all oil and gas money to acquire places like Maple Bay and Grand Traverse County, the conservative. There's all kinds of money that has gone from oil and gas proceeds directly into creating new. And that was all the result of this compromise in the Pigeon River State Game Area. And yes, I'm glad you brought that up, Beth. Very interesting point. So yes, some of this stuff is contentious for a variety of reasons, but there's an important heritage here. And again, it's not all bad either.
No, it's not. Well, great story.
Thank you.
I would recommend that people go ahead and subscribe to the Traverse City Business News.
I think they should, Christal. Go ahead and just subscribe to it. Get it delivered right to your door.
I like the big copy.
I like still, and maybe I'm a dinosaur, but I like a nice, hard copy of it. It is kind of
meaty.
It's meaty. It's a magazine.
I see it in waiting rooms all over town and bookstores, and it's a great read.
It's a magazine format. You sit down, take your time with it. We do a good job, a lot of interesting stories. This particular issue, has got a lot of good stuff in it. So subscribe.
I like it. tcbusinessnews.com for that. And before we go, let's talk about what we're excited about this weekend. Art, let's start with you. Anything? I mean, I know you want to take Nora out of school and take her skiing.
Diminish her education, go on.
Although, I'll be honest with you, it'll probably, if we're really getting that much snow, right now it's like projected to get 20 inches of snow or something on Sunday.
It's crazy.
It might be a snow day. Yeah. So what are you excited about?
I think other than that, on Saturday we're going to see this TC Central has this Disney production, which is fun. It's Disney and desserts. The kids are going to get ice cream, hear Disney songs.
I used to go to that with my sister until adulthood because we love Disney so much.
Yeah, I had to dig to find it because I knew there should be something going on, and TCAPS really does not do a good job with promoting a lot of the productions they do, but I found it and got tickets and we're going, and the girls will love it. I take the girls to almost all the Central and West productions because they're phenomenal.
They're so good.
You can't even believe how good these things are. They're just high school kids, and they're just.
And the tickets are like $10 or something.
Well, part of the reason maybe TCAPS doesn't need to overpromote them is because they sell them quite well through their families already.
Yeah, probably true. But they're great, and we do everyone. They had Anything Goes a couple years ago. This was like a straight up Broadway production. It was that good. And I'm like, these are just high school kids.
Yeah. They're so good. Yeah, they do a great job.
So we're looking forward to that.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah, it'll be fun. The girls will like it.
It'll be fun.
I have some music ones as well because I saw, I think you maybe and I have a similar one for us. So I'll let you talk about the other thing that we're doing. So tonight when the show airs, Friday night at the Bay, where I'm a board member, we have the band Switchback for a concert tonight.
What?
And so if you're ready to kind of like get into St. Patrick's Day mode, which there's a lot of St. Patrick's Day activities happening this weekend, even though it's not until Tuesday, people are celebrating this weekend. This band is incredible. They played on PBS. They played all kinds of great concerts, but they are like Celtic roots, little Americana soul, little rock, like great band. So that'll be at the Bay. 7 o'clock, and there are still some tickets available for that. And then also our friends at the TC Phil, which I know we and I are going to that show together. Our friend Gary, friend of the show, Gary Gatsky's playing. That was going to be on Sunday afternoon. The scary storm that we have coming in on Sunday has prompted them to move it. So it's a Brahms Requiem concert, and it's now going to be Saturday night at 6 o'clock at Corson. It was going to be Sunday. It's gotten moved for the weather.
That's how scary this storm is.
That's how scary the storm is. And I know they do still have some tickets available for that. So if you don't have Saturday night plans, come to the TC Phil.
I love it. That sounds great. Well, you did say I'm going to be heading over to that TC Phil show, 6 o'clock Saturday.
They'll be at Corson. Their headquarters are there, but they play at Corson. Yeah.
It's going to be at Corson, so excited for that.
I also got tickets for Tommy at Interlaken, which I just can't wait to see.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
Just can't even wait. I was obsessed as a teenager with Tommy. I'm taking Nora. Oh.
That'll be great.
I have so much fun. May 8th. I love it. Yes. It's the Oscar weekend.
Yes, it
is.
I
know Beth is very, very good at predicting
What's the hype?
Oscars.
What's getting all the hype this year?
Well, it's down to Sinners and One Battle After Another. Those are the two big contenders.
I just watched that the other night, One Battle After Another.
Yeah.
Just watched it.
It's a good one. Beth has gotten me really into the Oscars in the last few years. It's kind of...
Oh, does she dabble?
She dabbles.
When Christal's competitive. We're competitive. She's watching them now, too. Because she almost caught me last year.
Oh, yeah, you guys do the bingo card thing.
We actually do the Oscar ballots, and we put some money on it. And so we have a little party, and this year our friends Aaron and Ben Whiting are going to be throwing the party, and we're going to just be there. hopefully not snowed in, but hopefully still with the ability to watch
maybe
the
they'll move the
Oscars.
Oscars too because of the Sunday storm.
Yeah,
maybe they will.
So that's happening. Big storm.
Yeah, that's happening. I also want to mention, you mentioned musicals. Greenspire Middle School is having their musical. It's happening at Milligan Auditorium Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sunday still kind of up in the air. I'm sure they'll figure something out, but my niece Willow is in that.
I should take Nora to see a couple younger. She'd probably like seeing some younger kids do some stuff like that.
I think Greenspire is a wonderful school, and we've gone to, they did Frozen Junior, they did Beauty and the Beast. To be honest with you, I'm going to the show. I have no idea what it is. I'm just like, Willow's in it. We're going to go. Yeah. But that is, that's happening this weekend too. So very excited. Well, it sounds like it's going to be a fun little weekend.
Yeah.
Plus St. Patty's Day coming up.
Yeah.
Remember when we used to, go out for St. Patty's Day?
It's funny that you say I wasn't even on the radar because I don't even think. I peeked in Union Street Station today. I was sad. I was walking by. I just kind of peered in for a little while, took some pictures. Yeah. They're already taking a bunch of stuff down.
Trivia. I host, we have trivia on Rare Bird on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So they usually have some food specials and stuff for St. Patrick's Day. So come check that out.
I don't know. Like, I'm not a pub crawler.
Yeah. I'm not at our age.
No.
If we go to 2 bars, it's like good night.
Great way to turn an ankle, Christal.
As my husband says, you never change locations.
Yeah, I got a question for you. Yeah. What's Irish and lives in your backyard all summer long?
I do not know.
Patio furniture.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty good. And on that note,
and please keep listening.
Yes. We just lost half of our subscribers. I'm out. Click.
No, you are good. You are all good. Thank you so much to Art and to Beth for another wonderful episode of Currently. Be sure to subscribe to the show on all the platforms at crystalfrost.com. You can follow us on social media and subscribe to Currently with Christal Frost wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch the full show in full color on YouTube and on Facebook. Currently is a Compass Local podcast. It is produced by Pancake Boy Productions in downtown Traverse City. Big thanks to Old Town Playhouse. Paint Night kicks off at the Schmuckel Theater on March 13th. Get your tickets at oldtownplayhouse.com. Additional gratitude to the Fresh Coast Film Festival in Traverse City. It's a new celebration of Great Lakes stories and culture filled with adventure. Thursday, April 30th through Sunday, May 3rd. Mark your calendars. Get your tickets. It's presented by nonprofit host Old Mission Culture Club. And special thanks to our lead supporter, West Shore Bank. Start saving today at westshorebank.com.